Hey guys, so I want to do a carrying to Grandmasters with Alexstrasza, and I did use Alexstrasza a lot to get to Grandmasters. I'll show my numbers after this game. So the first thing that I want to do is I want to explain something. So there are two builds for Alexstrasza right now that are both very, very good. She has her W build, which is used for heavy frontline teams, which in fact we are pretty heavy frontline in terms of the Kerrigan, the Garrosh, and the Thrall will likely be pretty close to the frontline every time. My worry about going heavy frontline is that we're against Slam, Q, and what's his name? So I might actually do a hybrid-ish build, maybe, where I go the Q talent at 1, and then I might change it around purely because of that. But I'll explain a little bit of the two different builds for her and when you should take each build. And then from there, we'll kind of get into what else we should be doing. I like to toss my Ws pretty far back, and utilizing your E to get that forever slow is also very, very important. And you can also finish people off pretty easily with it. Getting off your heals in the early game is really rough. Like, before level 7, in all of the builds, you struggle with healing in general. So I always have a really hard time keeping people up until 7 when you get the tools that allow you to actually keep people up outside of that. But generally, Alexstrasza is really, really powerful. Like, she is one of the best ones for maps like this, where if you can hold an objective for even a little bit, you pretty much won that objective. So, for example, on this map, you can use your dragon on the first one, and then you can use your objective, or so you can use your trait on the first objective. You can use your trait on the third objective. So you pretty much, out of the first 3, you should win usually about the first at least 2 of them out of the first 3, making it a lot easier. He's going to root me, and I'm going to heal inside of the root. Yeah, generally that's what you want to do there, is focus primarily on saving your dragon to win those objectives. The early game healing's really rough, though, so you got to make sure that you're paying a lot of attention. And I just need to dodge a convection, but convection's going to be not too scary in the late game, so I'm not too worried about it. Might see if I can help out up here just a tad. Alright, I don't... Okay, I missed my my thing. I should have waited for the throw. I'm just gonna back out of this, like... Oh, I didn't expect that. Got dunked. Okay. So, I'm not exactly sure what build I want to go yet. I don't like going the W build into so much, but... I still feel like it's so good for our team comp. So I'm going to show you guys the full W build, even though I probably wouldn't normally run this build in this particular situation. I will be showing it to you this game purely because it's such a good build to see what it truly is capable of. We are taking out that convection pretty well, so I like this. So far, we've been doing pretty well, pretty good. So let's get right into this. I'm going to reposition so that my E hits all the minions. Using your E pretty much off cooldown is important to making sure that you've got sustained damage, and it also helps you with wave clear. I think Alexstrasza is one of the better healers to actually carry with these days, purely because she has so much wave clear. I like to auto attack the minion that I'm not going to be able to hit with my abilities, as it gets, when they start spreading out, it gets harder to hit everything. But there you go. That's pretty much what it is. We are not all grouped up here at the moment, so I'm a little cautious about this. And they do have a bit of interrupts, so I might just get some heals out first. We need everyone here before I pop dragon. And I'm actually kind of cautious about this in general. But that's actually a lot of abilities used, so what I'm going to do is, after my next W, I'm going to just dragon right here. And you can get off a ton of damage. I try not to use my E too much because I don't like pushing people away from my team. Just trying to get as many Qs off as possible in dragon form. I'm going to separate before the bomb, and then I'm going to toss out my heals. We're going to get one interrupt here, so I'm going to immediately start channeling on the other side of this so that they can't interrupt both of us. And there we go. We won the first objective. And that's exactly what should be happening with Alexstrasza. You should always win the first one and the third one. Past that, it really depends on how it goes through. But now I get... The region globes do more for me. The talent that I just picked up makes it to where region globes will heal me more, as well as I will I heal more with my W. So now I heal a lot more with my W because I'm in W build. That's really important. But my globes also heal me more, which I will be starting to summon globes for my team later. So it's going to be really, really important. Now, this objective here we might have to give just because I won't have dragon. So I'm going to tell my team that I don't have dragon available for this objective. And we might just actually pass it, to be completely honest. I do want to stick to the wave clear aspect of this, though. I want to make sure that we're costing the enemy's experience, even if we are deciding to pass an objective. And I'm going to just try to be a little aggressive. I'm just going to do a W over here. He'll be able to get to it in time. Oh, he got rooted. So he won't be able to get to it in time. But I like that throw. He was able to get them away. And we did lose that objective, but I kind of figured that was going to happen. I will be picking up a fountain as the third objective usually takes about a minute and a half before it spawns, so I will probably have it available. I want to stay away from the minion wave so that if he has to use his E or his Q to try to stack, he's not using it to get any minions. And now we can rotate a little bit. So I'll have my dragon available for this objective, and we're reaching close to level 10, so this overall should be a really, really good one for us. I can get a permanent slow on people as long as I get my first E off at a reasonable rate, and then I just keep using my E's because its cooldown will make it to where you can always keep slowing people over and over and over. I shouldn't have to use dragon for this objective, so I'm going to try to save it, but the majority of the time I only use my trait for objectives. So if you're ever wondering if there's like a weird fight going on, if you should be using your trait, you should almost never be using your trait. Unless it's a really important camp or if there's an objective going off. Every other time, you should focus on just using your trait for major events. We do have 10, so we should be trying to fight. I get Cleansing Flame in the W build because if my team's already going to be clustered for my Ws, then they might as well also be clustered for my other abilities. I'm going to be gaining back all of my health when we get the globe, so it's okay to throw out a heal or two, as the globes do double healing for me. As you can see, it's pretty good. I'm halfway to my globe quest, which is pretty good. We can maybe do a boss, but I don't think we need to take that risk. We could do our own boss for sure, actually. But this is a tribute that is going to give us the curse. So, and I do have both my ult up and my dragon up. If they take this fight, they lose the game, pretty much. Because not only are they going to lose this fight, but they're also going to lose the tribute from it. Ooh, are they actually coming up this direction? No, there's no way, right? They're trying to get their 10s really quick. I think we still win, though. He's going to channel on one side. I'm going to channel on another side. We both need to back up with the first Q from Asmodan. I don't like this fight being where it is. I might actually need to ult just to save them. No, I don't. Okay. I don't want to get hooked here. Okay, perfect. So we've got a zoning for the hook, and we're good. I still didn't even need to use an ult or a trait. So now if I wanted to, I could use a trait for this push. Do we want to proxy this? No, that'd be really dumb. That'd be actually kind of interesting, though. What are the benefits of that? So here's a camp and a pretty good fight. I normally don't like using this here, but I'm going to because I want to make sure that I keep everyone alive. Now, always use your W in Dragon Form before you use your ult, as it makes it to where your Dragon Form pauses, and you can get an extra W off. So let's get some of this done. And once again, I got an extra W off that I wouldn't have gotten if I didn't use my ult at that time. So if you're going to use your ult, try to use it in Dragon Form after you use your W. But once again, this so we did take the proxy approach. What a proxy means is you go to their keep before you go to their fort. And it works. It's a very risky method, but if it does work, you get a keep much more effectively and much earlier. I'm just going to focus on the keep. I don't really care too much about any of the other things. And because we're still in a very grouped composition, you can see how powerful it is for me to get off these Ws. I don't like this fight, though, at all. I can toss a heal over here, but that's about it. I'm going to toss a heal over here. Oh, that's awkward. I could have done it further back, but it didn't seem like she was going to be able to get out in time, so... Alrighty, so that is pretty much why I'm picking Alexstrasza on these maps, is because she's so powerful. She's just allowed the dragon to get as many of these tributes as possible, and if you don't need to use dragon, it's even better. But the fights that you do have to use dragon are just huge. Oh, that's awkward. This level, I usually like to go Pacify. I just feel like Pacify gives the most utility, especially when I'm already healing the front line a ton. I don't need the percent healing from the one talent. I can focus primarily on using other forms of healing. So that's why I don't usually need to get life unbound. I don't know if I'll have my dragon up for the next tribute. But I'm getting really close on my globes. The other reason why I'll sometimes go this build as opposed to other builds is because the globes that you get, say for instance you play someone who has a globe talent that stacks indefinitely or gains value from it late game, like a Kael'thas who has the globe talents, or maybe a Diablo, then you can also give them globes late game over and over and over. So it's a really, really powerful trick. Let's try to destroy a sidewall first. I'm just going to ult right here, see if I can keep her alive. There we go. And I'm going to go over here. I didn't like using an ult there because we didn't have an objective or anything, but we were able to keep her alive, and now we're in a much better place. The other reason why I like having Pacify is it's also a slow. So say, for instance, you wanted to try to kill someone like this guy, you could slow him, and now he can't get away. At level 16, I always go Discipline, even though I'm going W build, because if you go Discipline, it means you get more Ws off during your dragon. Simply going to toss a dragon out here, get off as much healing as possible, and just keep this rolling. And that is how you play Alexstrasza, and this is how I carried the Grandmasters Alexstrasza. So I'm going to talk a little bit about the builds that I went, as well as the maps that I tried to play her on. So we will get into that in just a second. Let me load out of this game. 41% of the damage taken was healed. She also heals more than just about any other support in the game. All right, just telling my team this really quick as I go over the build. So I try to play her on maps where if you can stall an objective for 15 seconds, you win the objective. What kind of maps are those? That's like maps where there's a tribute that you need to try to grab. That's maps where there is an objective that's very short, like Infernal Shrines, that you need to hold that. Generally, those are my favorite ones. People like to say she's best in Volskaya, but my issue with Volskaya is you pop Dragon, they walk away for 15 seconds, and they come back, and now you're just kind of a worse healer than you were before. So I like it on objectives that are kind of timed, like Sky Temple, where you are like timed in the amount of time you can actually do that. So the builds that I recommend for Alexstrasza, there are two. Q build is used when you have a single tank or very light front line, where you go Q at 1, Q at 7, so you can keep using Qs very efficiently, and then you use the level 10 life binder to heal your tank or to get yourself back up above 75% health, so you can keep doing your Qs more often. Within Q build, you always go Exuberance because you want to stay above 75% health, you want to be able to pick up flowers faster, and you want to be avoiding all AoE damage. Level 13, I try to always get Pacify, but in Q build I'll sometimes pick Life Unbound if I'm having trouble and they have no divers. But Pacify also slows people. So you can slow someone and have it to where your team can kill them. So it's not just for people diving on you, but it's also for you slowing them so that your team can make sure that you ensure the kill. This is a surprisingly good playmaker. Level 16, always Draconic Discipline. Never anything else. Level 20, I like to upgrade my ults most of the time, while Blessing of the Red is good if your team requires your team to survive, like just a little bit of burst to survive the rest of the fight. Now on to W build. We saw what W build was. It's W, 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 and then Pacify and Draconic Discipline. You do this if your team is heavy frontline, and at level 10 you go with Cleansing Flame. The point is to do a W, and then to do a dragon, and then a W, and then a cleansing flame, and then a W, and then outside of dragon, another W. You get a huge amount of W's off very quickly and healing for a ton. As fast as possible. So these are the two builds that I use to get to Grandmasters, and if you look at my statistics from the last couple seasons, Alexstrasza, oh that was a season. Alexstrasza last season, 10 wins, 4 losses. One of the main tools that I used to get to Grandmasters was utilizing Alexstrasza, and these were the two builds that I used nearly every single game. She's one of my favorites for carrying in low MMR because she has great wave clear and she has playmaking capabilities, which most people do not. While this game wasn't the best one to show because it was not a ranked game, I wanted to show a game that I could actually take my time and really talk through it. To explain the reasons why everything was good and not show an actual Hero League game. Thank you all for watching, and feel free to check out any of my other videos.